Hello and welcome to what will be the Join Dota League Season number 5, American Division 2.3. This is going to be a best of 2 between Isurus and Sad Voids. Both of these teams looking pretty darn good inside their division. Neither one have actually lost an entire series. Currently sitting at 5-1 and 4-2, if I'm not mistaken, respectively, inside their brackets. Sad Voids slightly behind Isurus, but this matchup could actually decide some bit inside the standings of the division. So it's fairly important, although both teams are pretty comfortably positioned there already. Isurus, having been 10 minutes late with a couple of PC problems, as well as failing to find Pepita and having to get a stand-in, are going to be docked 30 seconds of reserve time, as per the rules. So that's why it's reading 120. Now it's not a bug, it's not anything weird, it's intended. Outside of that, not a whole lot to talk about. I, for one, haven't watched very many Sad Voids games, unfortunately, but Isurus are always present inside the South American scene, or at least we can put it that way. They're very well known, and I've had the pleasure of seeing them a couple times. Although today they are going to be running with a stand-in. Unfortunately, Pepita not going to be with them today. We're going to have Invaders MD with them. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to change their team synergy or what that's actually going to do. As far as the Sad Voids players individually, I haven't actually seen them very much. Gix and Angel, I've seen stand in here and there, and maybe seen them on a couple of other teams, but as far as the other three, at least for me, they're unknown, and should be interesting to watch them play. As far as the first couple of picks and bans are concerned, we'll see Batrider and Clock taken up by Sad Voids, potentially setting up for a sniper pick for themselves. A lot of gap closers being banned out in the first stage, but even just as normal bans are pretty solid in their own right, and Isurus going to give a lot of respect to those spin doctors. We have the Axe, Juggernaut, as well as Troll, all inside that first stage. Troll Warlord going to be the first pick for Isurus, and honestly can't say that I can blame them, and well, just a really solid hero all around. It'll be an Earthshaker to follow up that from Sad Voids, and well, it can be very disruptive for a troll if you can land a fissure in a nice spot, and more than anything, just a really solid support that honestly I'm a little sad we don't get to see a little bit more of. It really does feel like Earthshaker deserves a little bit more praise. But then again, we are going to see him first picked by Sad Voids, so I suppose I can't be a sad boy either way. Yeah, that's pretty much where we stand here. Nothing too surprising, even though Earthshaker isn't seen in the first pick slot that much. Yeah, it's still a common enough pick to where it doesn't really throw anybody for a loop. They'll follow that up with a Bristleback. Both teams going for very tanky brawlers, and could come to a situation where Earthshaker's fissures are a little bit more disruptive for his team than anything else, but we'll just have to see how Sad Voids play with it. For now, it's going to be a Storm Spirit for Isurus Gaming. Already hammering out two of their cores, and a pretty scary pair of them as well. We still have the Vengeful Spirit untouched inside the first stage, which is a little bit peculiar. Usually teams would really like to get their hands onto it. And honestly, I think that Isurus could have gotten away with getting the Venge second pick, and then the Storm Spirit later on in the draft. But just making sure that they have access to that Storm is, well, for the most part of this game, they should be able to find themselves in a situation where they're the ones controlling the initiations and where they're the ones getting the jump. Although a Blinking Echo Slam from Earthshaker is a wonderful tool to have at your disposal, if this is a support Earthshaker, it's not uncommon to see that picked up 20, 30 minutes in even, or even later, depending on how much farm he's actually getting. A 15-minute Earthshaker Blink Dagger on a support is stellar, but I think the bottom line is it just doesn't come online very quickly at all. And so I think Isurus are primed to have a very scary game. Troll Warlord also combos pretty darn well with the Storm Spirit, even though it's not something that immediately comes to mind. Just having that extra attack speed globally to get through your combo and dish out those overload charges even faster is quite wonderful to have. Both teams getting some pretty useful tools at their disposal, although I think Sad Voids are a little bit more prone to being kited around and being worked around a little bit more. Well then, we'll have to see how everything gets followed up. Queen of Pain banned out by Sad Voids. Already a hero that might be pretty hard for them to keep in place. Fissure is nice and all, but Fissure in and of itself is not going to keep a Queen of Pain, Storm, and a Troll at arm's length. Just not going to happen. For Isurus, they'll ban out a lot of the supports, and a little bit surprisingly so. They'll take out the Lion as well as the Witch Doctor. Honestly, in their situation, I think maybe leaving the supports in the pool might end up being better for them, as Sad Voids probably are only picking up one more, and I think that one more feels like a Skarath Mage, at least to me. BKB, although it'll eventually come out for the Troll Warlord and Storm Spirit, having that huge amount of nuke damage to deal with the Troll and an instant silence on the Storm Spirit. An absolute godsend for their team and terrible for the enemy side. And would just be really nice. Functioning in a similar vein to the Lion, although Lion probably would be a little bit higher on Sad Void's priority list. Would leave them with some pretty greedy supports, or at least supports that would really like to have a Blink Dagger in their pocket. Well then, we'll have to see what Sad Voids settle on for a ban. I think in this situation, you just kind of contemplate, what support do I want to pick up next, and what one don't I want the enemy team to have? I think Vengeful Spirit should be in there somewhere, and Skarath Mage in the other, but instead they'll ban out the Tidehunter. Also, fair enough. Going to give them a little bit more control over the team fights, and maybe they can find some extra fighting power inside their offlaner or mid, whatever the case may be. It depends on how they want to play this Bristleback more than anything. They'll snag up that Venge I was talking about a little bit earlier, and well, it is a very nice pick, especially on the dire side with the minus armor from Goo, as well as the Wave of Terror. They can very easily take down Roshan, even if they don't have that much damage or sustain on top of that. That's usually enough if you're able to win a convincing fight, that is. It should be a pretty hot point of contention inside this game, as Troll's very good at taking Roshan, even solo, pretty early on in the game, and Storm Spirit benefits, I would say, the most, and if not the most, one of the most, from getting an Aegis of the Immortal inside his pocket, just with his ability to use a full health and mana pool so effectively. It's going to be a Rubik pickup from Isurus and a Lycan pickup from Sad Voids. It really feels like they want to get that Roshan early. They have a lot of good ways to get damage into the Roshan, a lot of damage onto towers if they're actually up in front of it, good heroes for brawling, but it feels like they're lacking some amount of control. They have the Fissure and the Magic Missile, which is nice and all, but I don't really feel like it's enough. Earthshaker and Venge, not the best at locking down the Storm Spirit, and you're also going to be dealing with Fissures coming out from the Rubik as well, one of the best spells to steal on Rubik, or in my opinion, in this game, probably the best. I don't think there's really anything that parallels it. Is just having that instant long-range disable on Rubik is absolutely insane. And it's like kind of already talked about earlier on with the Bristleback, those Fissures can be very disruptive for Sad Void's team. It's going to be a next pickup Magnus for Isurus, and a pretty interesting one. I'm not sure how these lanes are going to shake down. Should be offlane Mag, mid-Storm, and safe lane Troll, or at least that would be the standard way to go about laning this. It's going to offer them eventually inside the game a lot more damage onto the Troll Warlord. Empower on Troll and Storm is incredibly scary and gives them yet another way to start fights on their own terms. It really kind of feels like Sad Voids, their lanes aren't particularly good. Bristleback should be able to hold his own up against what Isurus are throwing at him, but yeah, not really feeling it. We'll just have to see. For Sad Void's last pickup, it really feels like nothing better than Puck would be available to them. I think that just synergizes so well with their entire team. They need some sort of tempo controller, some sort of hero to get initiations for them, because right now I just don't really see it happening. You can activate Lycan Shapeshift and Bristleback can just run at him, but I don't think you can really call that an initiation. Although it could work out if they're decently far ahead. Right now, pretty much all they have is a swap into Magic Missile or a long-range Fissure to open up fights. Omni Knight, the last ban from Sad Voids, would pretty much be backbreaking for them. No Diffusal Carriers on their side, and Repelled Storm and Repelled Troll Warlord are very difficult to deal with, and Guardian Angel will get a lot of traction. Honestly, I don't think the Venge and Earthshaker would be able to punish it enough in the laning stage. Instead of going for the Puck that I was suggesting earlier, they're going to snag up the Tinker for themselves. Right now, Sad Voids are not looking to take 5-on-5 engagements, or at least very early on, unless they get a huge advantage. This is already looking to be a very heavy split-pushing game coming out from them. With Lycan and Tinker, they have heroes to do it, and you also have the cute little Invis Wolves, Boots of Trouble TP in on the Tinker, and then you can assassinate some supports here and there. It's not a bad pick by any means, but I can very easily see Sad Voids falling behind. Their lineup is a little bit harder to execute, it kind of feels. Isurus, if they just play the standard game, get a Blink on Mag, get a Orchid on Storm Spirit, and just float, I think they'll be a lot more comfortable than Sad Voids would be. Alrighty then, let's see how, let's see how Isurus are going to round out their 5-man lineup. Already, I think their first 4 are pretty solid, and they'll snag up to Wraith King for themselves, another hero that's great at controlling the Roshan pit. Although it's unlikely that we're going to see any sort of level 1 Roshan shenanigans, I don't think that really matters much. Both teams have good heroes at taking down the Roche, and I think that should be a pretty hot point of contention. Maybe even as early as 10 minutes into the game. And with lucky double damage rune spawns or team fight scenarios, maybe even earlier, who knows. But yeah, definitely should be interesting to watch. Honestly, I think Isurus have a better team of fighting around the Roche Pit, unless Earthshaker gets the miracle waddle into an Echo Slam. But we'll just have to see. Either way, this should be a pretty interesting game right now. Sad Void slightly below Isurus as far as the standings are concerned, and will definitely be interested in snagging themselves a victory here, or at least trading 1-1. As a lot of the JDL, oh my good heavens, we have a bunch of disconnects, and we are going to be looking for a new lobby, it seems. So bear with me as we go ahead and do this. Oh my goodness. I didn't want to reconnect, but I kind of do at the same time. Because I want to make sure that they're actually abandoned and not just disconnected. I think they're abandoned, but then again, I am solo casting here, so if I got out of it and it didn't work out, things would be really hairy. Really hairy. Let me make sure I got this password alrighty. The remake word was sent out by the admin, so we should be getting into a new lobby very shortly. There we go. That's the ticket right there. Hopefully I'm in the right broadcast channel. Wouldn't want to make anybody mad. Yeah, it looks like we're fine. Okay, well, if you're just catching up with me, thank you for sticking around here on HeflaTV 1. This is a best of 2 in the Join Dota League. Wow. That is a Twitch copy pasta I have not ever seen. Congratulations, Sid Beret. Quite something. Either way, hopefully this won't be too long of a remake. Hopefully we'll be able to jump right back in. Looks like Sad Void's had some connection issues. Hopefully they were actually there through the draft and that wasn't just randomed and I was talking out of my ass. Well then. Back to the drawing board as we kind of just chill here. Awaiting our fine remake. Sorry for the downtime when I'm speaking. Like, there's really not much to talk about. Kind of already discussed the draft, and honestly, I'm probably going to forget most of it before we actually get into the new lobby. Well, it's nice to know that the admin asked if we had casters. Or if the casters were ready, rather. Usually they just start with us. Or start without us. Either way. Not exactly sure if Invader's MD is supposed to be in the lobby. Oh. Well then. Looks like he is. Well, off we go. Off we go, maybe? Hopefully. It would be nice to get this show on the road and we can actually start some Dota. Well, hopefully without any issues this time as well, Draculich. I was really tempted to go back to music since I am just solo casting and I don't have anybody to banter with. But either way, I suppose we can start out with a little bit of an introduction here. If you are just joining us, this is the Join Dota League Season number 5, American Division 2.3, if I'm not mistaken, in a best of 2 series between Isurus and Sad Voids. Everybody is loaded in, hopefully without any issue. It's an all-pick remake, as we've already had the draft Personally, I quite like Isurus' lineup. I think it's primed to... Oh my good heavens. Well then, we are back at the lobby screen. I could just introduce this until we actually start, but I'll save you from that. Yeah, I honestly have no idea what's going on, so... We'll stick around. Retrying. Okay. Well, third time's the charm, I suppose. Hopefully this one will stick, and we'll actually be able to watch some games. Because that is exactly why everybody's here, or why they should be here. Okay then. 10 out of 10 players, 11 out of 12 spectators, only waiting on one. And it shouldn't wait for spectators. That we should be good to go. I'm not sure why he kicked us out the first time. Either way, we're just chilling here. We get to look at a beautiful view of the middle river area. Zooming in through all of the pussy willows, as well as those dead bones over there. As opposed to living bones, like a Clinks. Alrighty then. We're on pausing and getting ready to go. As we count down to 0, all pick, remake. Hopefully everybody doesn't mess up their picks, as that would leave us to be snagging our picks again. Troll, Storm Spirit, Rubik. Yeah, looking pretty good. We need a mag up for Isurus, and for Sad Voids, looks like all we're missing is their last support. Which I cannot for the life of me remember. Was it Avenge? I would think it would be Avenge, if that wasn't banned out. I'm pretty sure it was a Vengeful Spirit. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm not absolutely crazy. We're good. Alrighty then. Back to Sad Voids versus Isurus as we wait for the 20 seconds time down until we actually get into the game proper, where we'll introduce all of our players and what they're playing on, and we'll have to see how these lanes shake down. As far as theoretical lane situations, we have Storm Spirit versus Tinker in the mid lane matchup, and it's a pretty good lane for Tinker, at least starting out. Although Storm Spirit's incredibly good up against Tinker throughout the game as he catches him while he's split pushing. In the early stage, the laser's a pain in the butt for the Storm Spirit, as well as having the Martian Machines on a fairly low-range hero. That Storm Spirit is going to be played... Excuse me, it looks like by DDX Dulce, going to be playing on the Magnus and Nadera on the Wraith King Pepita, going to be playing on the Troll and fullback on the Rubik. Looks like they actually got their full 5-man lineup. Pepita wasn't actually with us earlier, so potentially that's why we had the reconnect, although I don't want to start any rumors. Either way, Sad Voids on the dire side of the map, Angel going to be playing on the Bristleback, Gix on the Lycanthrope, Kezia on the Vengeful Syrup, Zap Brannigan on the Tinker, and Gexos on the Earthshaker. Alrighty then, we're paused again, as per normal inside American Dota, but at the very least we're inside a game, which is a big step in the right direction. So that's pretty much how the mid lane matchup theoretically should go. It's pretty even, although a slight edge towards Tinker, and he'll also have stacks to fall back on, or at least he should over in this large and medium camp, if the supports are nice enough to prepare those for them, and yeah, very well should. As far as how well these supports are going to be able to zone out the Bristleback in the offlane, it doesn't look too great. But then again, Troll versus Bristleback just in a vacuum is pretty okay for the Troll and pretty okay for the Bristleback. And just having that little bit of extra threat with the double disables coming up from Wraithfire Blast and the Telekinesis should be enough to keep Bristleback at bay. But out of the offlaners, he should be getting a little bit more than the Magnus, I feel. Although Magnus probably shouldn't die, he's going to be taking quite a bit of damage. Not having a grand time at all, but this is all theory crafting, and honestly I could be completely wrong. So yeah, we're just kind of chilling. Yeah, honestly I have no idea why we're paused, and I'd love to know. I would love to know, and it looks like, as would fullback, Sad Void's having some sort of issue or another, and what that might be, who knows, who knows. We have some drawings on the map, but nothing too noteworthy to actually talk about. It's times like these where I'd love to have a co-caster and, I don't know, just talk back and forth about lunch or something. Anything's better than actually sitting and looking at a pause screen, as that's not why we're here at all. Might be time to start looking at cosmetics, even though they've just loaded in. Alrighty then. Race King looking pretty swaggerific here with the regalia of the Wraith Lord. I quite like that set. In fact, I think I just dropped another copy of it from the, the Earbeast thing. He's streaming your audio. That really is very sketchy, I must say. Very, very sketchy. Yeah, I'd want to remake without him too. Okay, so what's happening, if you actually didn't read that, is there is apparently caster that works for Isurus, and he's streaming the games, and with the audio coming out from the Isurus TeamSpeak, or what have you, as well as being live inside the lobby. It's not really something that you can do. So it looks like we are going to have to remake. Yes, sirree, Bob. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. But it does look like we are in for quite a delay. Well then, outside the other cosmetics, nothing too noteworthy, I suppose. Go? Well, of course you want to go. You're not the... You're the ones with the caster. They want to remake. Maybe disconnected. I actually wasn't checking the sidelines. Hopefully that's the case. Earthshaker's looking pretty pimpin'. Both. Well, there you have it. So, as we sort this out, we'll get underway. It actually doesn't show the casters leaving the site anymore. That's new information. It probably is just faster to remake. Because you have to wait for 2-minute delay on stream, and you have to make sure that he's not doing anything sketchy. Troll is like in a ball. Holy cow. I did not notice that his animation was so funky when he spawns in. He just got pooped out by the ancient. Holy cow. I have no idea if we're remaking or not, but either way we get into this game. Magnus going to start running out to go place his ward, and well, probably should Sad Voids do the same. Although they're going to be running out as a 5-man unit. And we'll have to see if this actually comes into play, but Sad Void's level 1 is pretty darn scary, even though I like Isurus' lineup, all things considered. Howl level 1, as well as having 2 disables and quills as well, is incredibly, incredibly useful. Tinker level 1's pretty meh, but then again, I think he can make up for it with the fact that your other 4 heroes are pretty darn good. They'll smoke up and look towards the enemy woods, and let's see if they're going to be able to find anything. And this anything might just be fullback. It looks like fullback's screwed. Holy cow, imagine this a long-range Fissure. Blocks him on the wrong side, though, so fullback going to be able to run away. Unfortunate for Gexos that they didn't get the Fissure block. If they got the Fissure block there, I'm tempted to say that's first blood for Sad Voids. At the very least, it is going to put a little bit of pressure on the enemy side, but they didn't even get deep in enemy woods. Not going to place any wards down, and really fullback should be thanking his lucky stars that that Fissure didn't connect. They should still be able to scare the bottom bounty rune for their team, and, well, they'll have another Fissure should they choose to use the clarity for it, or what have you, and we'll have to see who they end up giving this towards. Earthshaker caught out alone, though. He's without team, and he can't actually go for that bounty rune. Looks like Pepita going to be able to snag this one up on the troll, whereas top going to be sat upon by DDX, and for now, Sad Voids don't find themselves any of the bounty runes. Early advantage towards Isurus, as they're going to be getting a little bit of extra oomph inside the laning stage on 2 of their core heroes. Magnus, after getting his ward down, is going to be spotted out. Although I'm not sure if these supports have enough money for sentries. Actually, Earthshaker's already bought them, so scratch that. Dulce going to look to drag these creeps around, and, well, the supports are there. It looks like Dulce might be in a whole heap of trouble. He does have Skewer, and he's going to be forced to use it, but a long-range Fisher and just one more auto attack's all they need, and Vengeful Spirit draws first blood. A very risky move to go for that creep pulling, and honestly, I'm not sure if that was worth it in any way, shape, or form. It's going to give a little bit of extra experience to the Vengeful Spirit, too. She's able to mop up this small camp. And I think that Magnus just did a lot of work for the enemy team. A very interesting move. He also gets his ward taken out, and as if the laning stage wasn't bad enough already, he's really going to be in for a poor time, it really feels. This mag, only level 1, not a lick of experience, finally sees his first creep's worth of experience at 1 minute in, and Magnus just not going to be having a great time. If he comes up like this again, could be in for a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, for Sad Voids, they don't have mana for a magic missile. If they did, it's probably Mag giving up his life again. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he's checking that, or at least recognizing that that's the fact. And we'll get level 2 under tower at the very least. Bristleback is having a similar experience when it comes to the levels that he's getting. He's not really in a position to where he can contest the pole, and rightfully so. He'd end up in Magnus's boat if he did, but then again, the pole didn't fully kill off this creep wave, so it's going to give them 2 ranged creeps, and although this doesn't seem like a big deal, it's actually going to be giving Magnus a whole, or Bristleback, excuse me, whole heap of experience inside his lane, as that pushes under his tower, and going to be giving him quite a lot of extra help. As far as the last matchup that I haven't talked about, the Tinker versus Storm Spirit one is actually going pretty darn well for DDX. I don't really chalk this one up to the heroes, but probably just up to individual play as far as the CS advantage that he has right now, but it's definitely subject to change. Right now, it's more or less a wash, and we haven't actually seen any support rotations mid either. Well, for now, it's a very passive early start. The fullback going to set his sights onto the mid lane. We do have 1 point in pull from DDX, so they can't actually go for this kill. With Wraith King coming in from the side, though Wraithfire Blast lift him up, but with TP support coming in from the Venge and a Fissure thrown out by Gexus, it looks like they'll get full back, and they will, with the laser and a really awkward gang coming out from Isurus. They were not smoked up to most of my knowledge, and that Wraith King was spotted out by this Observer Ward, even though he was able to get that stun off. A nice turn coming out from Sad Voids and showing the defensive power of that Fissure at the early portions of the game. Pretty darn useful, if I must say so myself. And they also give Dulce a fair bit of room in the top lane as they go for that rotation, allow him to get a little bit more experience under his belt. And well, currently the same level of experience as both the troll, or as both the Lycanthrope and the Bristleback. Troll's a little bit ahead of all of those. Even after that death. Isurus still maintain a little bit of a CS advantage over the enemy team, but honestly nothing that's going to be sticking around for much longer. We still have Rubik in mid, but all of these rotations are spotted out entirely by Observer Wards. If you want to go for something like this, you absolutely need to be smoked up. He's going to TP down towards bottom, and they'll look to put an end of Angel's Dak messing around days. They have a lift and a Wraithfire Blast at their disposal, but need to be careful. He has mana for 2 more Quills and could potentially do a decent amount of damage. The Wraithfire Blast flies through. Angel still surviving, however. The Troll isn't close enough. Now with the ranged axe, it's going to slow down Angel, and they should be able to run him down. Although it's not the fastest kill, and if they do a little bit too much damage, might kill the Wraith King. Need 1 more ranged axe. Bottling up, Angel survives, and now Salve still be able to stick around that lane. Clutch Bottle coming out from the Bristleback, and he is going to be Jim Dandy. And all of Isurus' heroes are pretty darn low, and they can't really do very much about this. The 4-minute rune, unfortunately for the Bristleback, isn't really in a situation to where he can contest it. He's going to be forced all the way back to base, but it's still working out pretty darn well for him. Nadera going to sit on the bottom rune, is up towards the top rune. We see Gexus as well as Kezia sitting on that one for the Tinker. They're going to scurry an invis for Zap Brannigan, as the bounty rune is set upon for the Storm. Nobody's going to come and put an end to the Storm's life. He'll be just fine, just securing that extra bit of mana regeneration for DDX. He'll receive a bottle charge or 2 for his trouble. And a Tango. Much well played from the Storm Spirit, as he'll help out his teammate. Mid lane, Venge, as well as the Earthshaker, sitting around. If Storm Spirit gets a little too comfortable, he's dead, and I think DDX is gone. Where are you at? Doesn't have level 6, he needs that creep to die, and this is the perfect time to kill him if they can. He's going to get level 6 from that range creep. They stack their stuns a little bit, the laser flies through, and he has the ball lightning. Now he's completely out free. Ooh, if that gank just came a little bit sooner, maybe they could have killed off DDX, but just not going to be the case. A little bit of time wasted from these supports, and again giving Magnus a decent chunk of room, now sitting at level 4. As far as offlaners are concerned, Magnus really does need levels to do anything, really, and they're giving him that. They do have a Lycanthrope that's able to munch through the jungle creeps now that he has his Morbid Mask up and running. And so they can give some experience inside the lane to the supports, but Dulce is pretty comfortable here, especially now that has rotation in from Madeira as well as fullback. They'll look to put an end to Gix's free farming days. They'll Wraith Fire blast him up, looking for the skewer back. They'll be able to get it completely out of position. They follow up with the list, nicely executed gank as they pull him all the way back under, and that is going to be Rubik securing the kill onto the Lycanthrope. And a cleanly executed gank, the Avenge and the Earthshaker, which is a little too far away to actually help him out in any way, shape, or form. Although they're still sticking around, they're dealing with Dulce having no mana. I don't think they can do this alone, and the Tinker is nowhere close and doesn't really want to be involving himself in the affairs of top lane. Wraith King as well as Rubik are still sticking around up towards top, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing much else other than securing this top rune for this for their team. There is no bottle on the Magnus. Looks like he's straight rushing his Blink. And, well, this might end up biting him. He buys his Arcanes, he eats a Magic Missile, however, they need to cancel the Skewer with the Fissure, or do they? He's going to be able to Skewer over top of the Fissure, but is going to be in the loving arms of Gexus with that big howl damage. One big punch from the Earthshaker is going to secure the end of the Magnus's life, and Sad Voids find themselves yet another kill onto the Mag, but lucky enough for him, he bought his Arcanes and a TP before dying. Zip in mid, looking for the Storm Spirit, pulling back Zap Brannigan. DDX doing a decent chunk of damage, but not enough. It is going to be pulled back, but isn't in any danger of dying without any support rotations, and has the bottle to get him back up to reasonable amounts of HP. Meantime, Bristleback is clearing a stack that he's made for himself with a couple stacks of Quills. It's not the fastest stack clearing, and I would like to see them put a support down this bottom lane to soak some experience there in the meantime, but it is going to give Bristleback a nice infusion of gold for his person. He'll be able to mop this up pretty nicely. Well then, rotation again in mid as Isurus continue to kind of set the pace of this game with their support rotations. They'll zip in mid, looking for Zap Brannigan, zip 1, zip 2, pull back. And now DDX going to be able to slow him down. They interrupt the laser. Now DDX is going to be just fine. They can't do anything on the Tinker. Well done by them, although fullback might die to the tower, and it looks like he is going to do so. Tinker gets a little bit of extra gold, but no experience for his trouble. Still worthwhile for Isurus, especially since nobody actually got any experience from that. The supports are all up towards top, but they're also not able to secure a kill onto the Magnus. Bench up in base also is at the ready with the TP, but for now, it looks like Isurus are the ones to find a little bit of momentum. Even though their Magnus has been dying inside the early game, 0, 2, and 1, he's getting close to that crucial level 6, in fact has it already, and is going to be able to do quite a bit with it, and it is awkward to see such an advantage inside the net worth, even though they're behind in kills, and an advantage in the experience too. That's just kind of how this game works. The kill score can be a little bit deceptive. Isurus do feel like they have the wind under their sails, so to speak. Papita has been left to his own devices in bottom with Aquila phase, and really the items are starting to come out for them. And the same, it can be said for Sad Voids, but pretty much at the same pace. Nothing too crazy. We'll see more wards committed to help out the Tinker in this mid lane as they've been doing the whole time, but up towards top, they find Gix. He isn't going to lose his life here, but Shockwave going to end it as Magnus secures a kill onto the Lycanthrope, and they get a kill, and on a very important target too with that first use of RP. Unfortunate that I didn't catch that on camera. My bad. Either way, Isurus again going to keep up this momentum. Every time they have the RP online, I think they should be looking for kills, and they're also going to be getting a pretty decent amount of farm onto DDX too. Not going to be the fastest orchid you've ever seen, mostly because this is a mid-storm, but it's going to be serviceable all the same. Bristleback finally mopping up those last couple of big creeps, and he has used a lot of his time to do this. But to put that in perspective, he's currently leveling at a similar rate to his safe lane farming Lycanthrope, and without being involved in any kills, just under the Magnus, which is quite impressive. Seeing as the Magnus has been involved in two. In mid, Storm Spirit going to need a Magic Missile and Fissure to the face. Not enough mana to zip out of there after they go on the Tinker, and Tinker is going to be able to survive for another day, and is going to be saving up towards those boots of travel. Unfortunate that DDX is caught out in such a situation for Isurus, but it's going to be a big boon for Sad Voids. They desperately needed something, and that something is going to give their supports a decent chunk of levels, which is very important at this point. They are currently only level 4 and 5 on the Venge and Earthshaker, and by no means is this bad, but then again, they'd really love to have Swap and Echo Slam at their side. We do have that RP cooling down in 30 seconds for Dulce, and we'll have to see. where he makes his move, or if he makes a move at all. Right now it feels like Isurus are more or less content and just kind of chilling back and farming on their 3 cores as they wait for a Blink Dagger up for Dulce, as well as for Storm Spirit, Orchid, and whatever the heck Troll is going to go for. I honestly don't know. It's going to be a Morbid Mask item, at least for now, whether that's a Vlad's or Helm the Dominator is up to personal choice. He'll go aggressive onto Angel. He's going to put a decent chunk of damage into him, but not a kill that he can actually go for, unless Angel gets a little bit too over-aggressive. We have a regeneration rune picked up by DDX, so I expect him to be looking for some sort of jump. But speaking of jumps, one down in bottom is a Bruin with a rotation in from the Earthshaker and the bench. Pepita's low, but instead they decide to go for Nadera. Nadera is going to lose his life pretty easily to the supports. They cancel the animation of the Wraithfire Blast, and that's going to be pretty easy to kill. But now Troll turns around with the axes onto all 3, bashing up Angel. That's going to be 1 down, and now they look towards Gexos. They will be able to get the Enchant Totem stun off onto Pepita, but not going to save his life as he munches through them, and now they go on to Kezia. Kezia dropping low, the melee axe is going to fly into him, and they just need one more ranged axe. They will find it, and it's a triple kill for Pepita. That was an interesting move coming out from Sad Voids. I'm not sure if they saw the Troll down towards bottom. I think they expected him to be around, but they just didn't find an opening onto him with the fissure, and, well, if you use all of your CC to kill off the Wraith King, he's going to be more than happy, as Pepita was just allowed so much room to absolutely go ham. In the meantime, not all is lost for Sad Voids. They get some farm up on their Lycanthrope and on their Tinker. Oh my goodness! Storm going deep behind tier 3. Seal gets Zap Brannigan, but can he get out again? He has the Zip going to disjoint the Magic Missile. Nicely done by DDX, but he's taking a decent amount of Quill Stacks, and he can't find enough room to bottle up. Taking a lot of damage. He has a Zip coming shortly, but is it going to be coming out soon enough? DDX, 4 stacks of Quills. Fisher from long range, going to pay for that deep dive. Holy Toledo. That was crazy. Either way, 1 for 1, mid for mid, the end trade. But honestly, I think that's pretty okay for Sad Void. It's going to give a lot of gold to the Earthshaker in particular, and that's a sport that can definitely use it. Those Arcane Boots mean quite a bit. And Storm Spirit did lose a decent chunk of gold. Didn't buy out before he died. Tier 1 tower down towards bottom. Going to fall to the mind of Pepita as he chops away at that tower. 3 points into the fervor at this point. He can pretty much do that with or without ultimate. He has the Yasha now complete flying out to him. He's in a really good spot for 12 minutes into this game. Well, Isurus currently tied 7-7, although I think they still sit on a decent advantage, although it's nothing insurmountable by any means. Only 1,500 in the gold and 2,000 in the experience. Nothing too crazy. But definitely just eking ahead of Sad Voids throughout this game. We have the Boots of Travel now up for Zap Brannigan, as he'll be looking to zip-zap around the map, and he might be needed in mid as he gets a Fissure stun onto 2. DDX doesn't go over the Fissure. The rockets flying through, going to go into Nadera. They turn around with the RP onto 2. They'll be able to bring them back into the Shockwave. Double kill for Dulce. Nice Fissure coming out from the Rubik as well to set that all up. Blink Dagger shown off by the Mag, and an easy fight for Isurus. Just showing the power of counter initiation with that Magnus. Fissure as well as Bristleback are over towards the sidelines, but they're going to set their sights up towards top. Gix is going to run away fast enough, however, they don't connect with the Skewer or with the Lift or anything of the sort. They'll continue this push down towards mid, actually pull back Angel. They have a Wraithfire Blast, but with the Fissure, they are going to kill off the Wraith King, but maybe he wanted that. DDX going to zip away. The Echo Slam doesn't do enough damage, and now Angel is going to lose his life, although DDX needs to be careful with 5 Quill Stacks. He almost lost his life to that Death Quills if he didn't get a little bit further away, but he's going to survive. Playing things a little fast and loose, this Storm Spirit, but he's making it work out as one Oblivion staff online, and my goodness, DDX 1-2-2 pretty much sums up his contribution to this game. He's been involved in 3 kills, but more often than not he dies. Lucky enough for him this time, he didn't end up biting the bullet. Down towards bottom, ranged axe is going to be thrown out. Zap Brannigan will blind Pepita, so he can't actually hit him anymore. Laser does a mad amount of work if you're dealing with a troll. TP attempt coming out from Dulce, going to be able to make his way back towards base. In the meantime, Nadera dropping low as he stacks up. That's pretty much about all that's happening. We have Storm Spirit up towards top with a handful of, or a decent chunk of mana left if he wants to go for anything bigger. But, well, for now, we'll wait for some backup. And that backup is coming in the form of Mag. They won't have an RP for 27 seconds, but maybe they wait for that before going. Let's see if they get scouted by these wolves, however, and they do. DDX going to be attacked by them, so he knows he's been spotted out. Well, I think Lycan should be safe enough and probably isn't going to decide to go on this, but I suppose it is DDX after all. Maybe he does want to go super ham deep, but yeah, going to decide against it. They're bringing it back up and they're bringing it in droves coming in from the right-hand side with the Venge and Earthshaker. We have a haste rune picked up by DDX, and he's going to set his sights on to Zap Brannigan. Long zip in, going to zap him once, pull him back. Does he do enough damage? He's hasted up, and he is going to be able to kill off the Tinker and now run away. Fissure wide off the mark. And, well, that's going to mean that DDX's retreat is a safe one. Rest of his team comes back, and they can continue this push down in the middle lane as Troll continues in free farm heaven down towards bottom. Don't come to the Troll's lane, and, well, he's going to be more than happy about that. He'll get an S and Y probably about 16 minutes. Even less than that, excuse me, like 15:30. He pretty much has it already. Well, we do have that RP up now for Dulce, so Isurus do have the tools that they need to start fights, and things are picking up. Let's see if one's going to break out. We have a Fissure that lands on a DDX, but that's about all that's there mid. Looks like that's the case. They'll set their sights on to Gix. Well, Gix not the easiest of ganks, and they'll probably have to commit quite a bit to get this one. They probably know where he's farming. Rubik's pinging it out, and it's fairly obvious what Gix has been doing this entire game, so maybe they'll be able to catch him out. Let's see. They're smoked up. They have 3. They have Drum's movement speed picked up freshly by Dulce, although no they don't. It's inside the base. They'll probably blow the RP for this one. Do they even need to? They have a Wraithfire Blast. Blink in. RP that. He is going to do so. Catches out 2 with it. Now skewer back. They have the Wraithfire Blast. They'll be able to bring down the Venge easily, but a nice defensive fissure. Potential turnaround. The Wraithfire Blast, or excuse me, the Magic Missile stolen by the Rubik is going to land in Gix, and now they stun up Dulce. Where is the Storm Spirit in all of this? And they just can't find him. 2 for 1. A favorable trade for SV, although those earlier fissures coming out from the Earthshaker were less than perfect. That last one definitely making up for it. His fullback is going to lose his life to Zap Brannigan, making an absolute disaster inside that rotation. But then again, somebody decided to come down towards Troll's domain, and he's going to be able to mop up the Bristleback, and I suppose all of that is just space created for Pepita as he slap chops away at the Roshan. Looks like he's going to be able to take that Roche for himself, although it might be at the cost of his life. Let's see. He gets the Aegis. Not going to be denied. Swap back. He's inside the March. Going to be man fighting. Can he actually find a target to stick on, though? He's blinded up. He's going to lose the Aegis immediately. Pepita, where's his backup? He has a Wraith King coming in from the south, but it looks like the Wraith King's a little too far away. But then again, Sad Void's going to respect the Troll, as rightfully they should, and we'll just let him live. It's going to take away pretty much any advantage that Roshan gave them, although it's kind of nice to have that extra bit of golden experience. They lost 3 for 1 inside the dire jungle, and all they got was a Venge in return, although, is that Brannigan? Dropping low. Not going to lose his life. He is going to eventually rearm and probably make his way back to base, and indeed will do so. But still, Pepita pretty much runs around with no answers, especially if a BKB comes out at any one point for Pepita. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Seeing at 22 armor, the physical damage from Sad Voids also doesn't really bother him that much. I mean, for sure, it's going to be a nuisance, but 57% physical resist is pretty darn insane at this point in the game. Well then, Sad Voids continue to group up, and honestly, this is a game that they're more than prepared to play. Slow it down, still push it out. With Marching Machines, as well as with the Lycanthrope at their disposal, they're pretty happy about this. But then again, Isurus, with this fresh pickup of the Orchid, DDX is going to be able to put an end to the split pushing, and he's going to find himself a Gix. Pulls him back, the Necro units are there, but not going to save you here. DD Storm is incredibly strong. Is going to be able to bring down, but the Necro units in return are going to kill him. It looked like he was trying to kill off the Necro unit before he died. He did succeed in doing so. Going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Again, we're going to see DDX's more suicidal Storm play. I think that one's marginally okay, although the Tinker does get quite a bit. Mid lane, Bristleback going to lose his life as he was going in quite deep. Doesn't have a defensive swap from the Vengeful Spirit, a little too far away with only a level 1 swap. In fact, Venge is only level 6 here at 18 minutes in. Can't really help you from that distance. Well then, Isurus going to put together this push in mid, although there is now a Tinker to deal with. Zap Brannigan is going to drop those marches and make it almost impossible for them to push up. The tier 1 tower in mid, even though it's only about 500 HP, is going to be standing for a little bit longer yet. Okay then, well, and we're just chilling. There's not really much else to talk about here. The Troll continues to push down bottom, but hey there, we have smoke on Dulce. Let's see if he's actually going to be able to make anything happen with that. Right now, the advantage towards Isurus is pretty darn significant. They'll step forward, DDX kind of flex his muscles, but right now, Sad Voids are just nowhere close. It would be wonderful if there was a nice opening for an RP. I'd love to see it, but let's see if Dulce is going to be able to deliver. They spot out the Tinker. Troll Ultimate is dropped as he starts chopping away at the tier 2. He gets free tier 2 in the meantime. That's pretty slick for Isurus as they get a little bit more map control. Troll has just like not been touched at all. He's 4-0-0. All of the kills have pretty much been either him inside the Roche Pit or people coming into his lane. After that triple kill really hasn't done much of anything, but hey, he's a happy bud. He has an ultimate orb. I think this is going to be a Scotty build for Troll, but no matter what it is, he's going to be trucking. We already have the Empower coming out. He's hitting for 240 thereabouts. And then he has some bashes thrown in. With the battle trance attack speed, he is going to be absolutely dishing if you actually let him stick onto you. We'll look for the Tinker, but well, not going to be able to cancel his Blink Dagger. Tinker is currently at full rat mode, and he'll be able to continue this pressure pretty much wherever he wants without much fear unless the Storm Spirit is there. DDX, now with the Regeneration Rune, might be able to catch out the Tinker. I think that's really his job. DDX is currently on rat extermination services, and we'll have to see if he's going to be able to exterminate the mechanical rat that is Tinker. Troll and Rubik going to be occupying the enemy woods, although Rubik's low. It doesn't really matter. Pepita is just able to do what he very well will. With the lifesteal, he's pretty sustained throughout this, and although he needs to be careful for maybe eventual spirit close, I think for the most part he's okay to do that. They'll eventually back out, and I think that's probably a wise choice. The evolutions now of Pepita, and well, they're probably not going to be the most useful, especially when you deal with this March. My goodness, Tinker is so annoying. Storm going to be hunting for said Tinkerino, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to find it. Looks like they spotted out the trees being destroyed. Tinker knows what's up, and well, maybe his team are going to be able to kill off the Storm. He catches vision, they pop the smoke, and it pops immediately. DDX, I'm not sure if he spotted that out or what have you. He's still chilling, looking for an angle of initiation. He's going to attack Hezzy. It goes straight onto the Vengeful Spirit, but they have a fissure behind him. He's completely alone. DDX Echo slammed in, but the 5-man RP! They have to skewer back. Where's the AoE disable? Gix isn't pulled back into this one. And, well, where's the follow-up? He's going to be able to force staff up to the high ground. DDX is there, going to cancel Zapper against TP by killing him, or will he? He gets stunned. It's going to be a killing spree for Gexos as all hell breaks loose on the back lines. Troll Warlord going to town, and that's going to be a double kill for the Magnus as well as a kill for Pepita. What a crazy way to start a fight, man. I wish I had that zoomed out further. They're going to meet eyes with the Bristleback Wraithfire, blast him up, slow him down. They have a skewer, they'll pop the ultimate, and look how fast he falls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all it took Pepita to munch down that warthog, pig, quill, spraying beast, whatever you might call it. Either way, blink over the sidelines from the mag. They don't find anything further, but all of a sudden, Isurus are completely exploding. 10,000 net worth, 12,000 in the experience. They're taking a tier 2 mid, and there's nothing that Sad Voids can do to stop it. Tinker doing his best to split push bottom, but yeah, split pushing bottom, not going to save the tier 2 tower in middle lane. We have Blink Dagger out for the Wraith King. Big items are coming out galore. That's Scotty. It's going to be picked up by the Troll Warlord. And they have a double damage rune to boot. They'll probably set their sights on another tier 2 tower. That RP huge in the last fight. Maybe they'll want to wait for that before they commit for anything huge, but really flexing their muscles in that last fight. And a huge show of force. Well then, though, looked for this tier 2 tower up top. This might be an opportunity for Sad Voids to actually make something happen, or maybe it's just an opportunity for them to split push more. Storm is currently in the south of this fight. If you can even call it that, he's very far away, but he does have a long zip in and a decent mana pool at the ready if they need to bring him in. Pepita does have that Scotty, but they find the Storm over the sidelines and bullet ray him with the fissure. He's down for 60 seconds and doesn't want to buy back. We have the Earthshaker Blink Dagger up, and I think it's time for Isurus to retreat. There's really not a clean opportunity. They do have an RP, so maybe there's some turning potential, but with the Wolves canceling his Blink Dagger and with those rockets flying, fullback and Nadera, not in any fit fighting shape, and Storm Spirit just gets picked off over towards the sidelines. Honestly, didn't think they'd be able to find that Storm Spirit, but once the first stun lands, he's pretty much completely screwed. And now with that Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker, things are going to get a lot hairier for Isurus, as Gexos is now going to be a team fight threat. A great way for Sad Voids to start their fight, and although it's something they talked about in the draft that they were lacking, Blink Dagger Earthshaker makes up for that completely, I think. As long as he has his cooldowns up and ready. They'll group up, potentially looking for a smoke, or maybe they're just chilling. Looks like Vengeful Spirit also going to have a medallion for herself, and this is going to mean that Roshan's pretty much as easy for both sides to take as for the other. It really just depends on the fight previous. They'll smoke up, and it looks like they're looking for a pick, and if they find the Magnus, that's a lot of Isurus' team fight down the drain and actually kill him off. The double damage rune up towards the top is still yet to be touched, and it looks like that's going to be replaced. Unfortunately for either side, both of them would have loved to have it. Isurus shoving out the mid lane. I don't think this is time to go high ground. By no means. Up against an Earthshaker, up against a Tinker, it's probably not a good choice. It's actually Blink on Pepita too. He's completely stacked, and he's going to maintain that out the game. They'll occupy the enemy woods, and yeah, I like that move. As long as they're not fully committing to a high ground push, I think they're fine. Big item pickup for Isurus is the gem now picked up by fullback, and this is going to deny a lot of Sad Void's map control. Right now, their wards are okay for mid lane, but nothing too spectacular. And once they have those denied away from them, playing a blind map when you're looking for a split pushing game is an absolute nightmare. You just can't do very much about it. Range form, and Pepito will go to town on the tier 2 tower. Chop, chop, chop. He is blocked out by a fissure, and the Marching Machine does quite a decent chunk of work, but he will lifesteal through this. Where's his backup? Where's his team? They're fighting down towards the south, or at least trying to. Where's the opening? It looks like nobody's actually going to initiate. They probably shouldn't. And, well, that was awkward for the troll, but he'll be able to make it out alive. Blink away, zip away, and Isurus are out free. Although Sad Voids want to find a fight. If they can get a Blink Echo Slam, this could be disastrous. They're all scouted out. That's an easy fissure kill onto fullback. Nadir is there with his ultimate. You probably don't want to dunk that one. And, well, I think Sad Void should probably be content with just getting this one kill unless they find another opportunity. Pepita might be giving him that opportunity. Kills the melee Necronomicon unit and dropping low. RP, they catch out to Zap Brannigan as well as the Berthaback pulled back. And with Pepita going to town, that's going to be an easy 2 kills. Nice RP. Now they'll be able to clean up. The Echo Slam onto DDX. They are going to lose their Storm. There's your Wraith King ultimate. And Kezia as well as Gexos are completely screwed. The Lycan probably just needs to get out of dodge. Gexos blunk upon by Pepita, and he'll be able to bring him down before the Enchant Totem even comes out. That's going to be a triple kill for Pepita. A godlike spree, 9-0-2, and a 2-for-4 trade, all things considered. This has really been Pepita's game. I don't think you can ask for much more on a Troll Warlord. You're currently rocking about 10 CS a minute, and you have 9 kills, no deaths, and 3 assists. I think this is pretty much ideal, or if it's not ideal, as close to it as you're ever going to see in even a pub game, in all honesty. And with plenty of team behind him to back him up, my goodness, he's doing so much work. And currently sitting on another 3,000 gold. Honestly, I think he should probably go for a BKB, but man, I think he could go for whatever he wants. Satanic would be a wonderful tool for surviving, but no matter what he gets, he's currently almost 10,000 net worth ahead of the Lycanthrope. And yeah, it's not a pretty picture. We have Blade Mail freshly picked up by Wraith King, and honestly, this team coming up from Isurus is looking really solid. You can knock the Stormsphere play as much as you like with 3, 6, and 8, but it at least gets kills, and I think the big shining star in this game, if it's not for Pepita taking away that spotlight, it's Dulce on this Magnus. Consistently finding good RPs, starting fights on his team's terms, and really showing that this hero is something to be feared. A very impressive play coming out from his mag. And he's going to be having a refresher soon. He's also not slacking when it comes to farm. What do Sad Voids have to do to get back into this game? Well, I think they pretty much rely on exactly what they've been doing beforehand. Zap Brannigan almost going to get sold by DDX. He is going to die to the Soul Burn coming out from the Orchid. And, well, with the Aegis, you can't afford to make plays like that. Aegis on DDX is scary because he is not afraid to go hog wild, as we've already seen. Gix being stocked up top. They have the Blink Wraithfire Blast, and they're going to commit it. Magnus is close. Are they able to get the Blink Skewer back onto him? They'll force that forward. RP no holds barred onto Gix. They'll be able to bring him down. Easy kill onto the Lycanthrope. And just like that, Isurus are currently pushing up high ground without a Tinker and Lycanthrope. About what I was going to say earlier about what Sad Voids need to get back into this game. It's, well, probably not get picked off and keep pressure on lanes, but that's just not a possibility right now as Isurus are controlling this map very effectively. Well, then they are going to just keep up this pressure. I honestly think that they probably could have made a high ground push, although maybe they were thinking that they didn't have enough on their heroes to actually put it together. Or maybe they feared buybacks on the Tinker and Lycanthrope. Even though you and I can see that they don't have buybacks, well, the players are not so lucky. We have Butterfly picked up by Pepita, and my goodness, you're not supposed to be 6-sledded at this point in the game. It's 30 minutes in. I mean, sure, you can replace his helm with the Satanic. He might end up switching out that SNY for something else, but honestly, Pepita, he's hitting for almost 400 a pop. This is without crits, this is guaranteed damage, and he's also cleaving. That's pretty good, I must say. I really am afraid to see what would happen if he got a DD in his pocket. This troll would be doing quite a lot. Alrighty then, Isurus are now pushing up against the full 5-man unit coming out from Sad Voids, and even though they are very far behind, well, about 20,000 gold and even more in the experience, they do have a team that's pretty darn good at defending high ground, and we'll have to see how long they're going to be able to hold out, and if they're able to get that dream fight, and I think it really has to come off of the back of Gex's. If there isn't, like, a 5-man Echo, I really don't see it. At the very least, they need to catch out the Storm and the Troll inside that Echo, and Storm can't have Aegis. It's really just not an easy task. They need a little bit more lockdown for these heroes, and although BKB is nice on Lycanthrope, I don't think it's going to cut it. They need a little bit more. These rockets barely tickle Pepita. I actually don't think he cares about anything that Sad Voids are bringing to the table at this point, just with the raw amount of HP that he has. Currently 3,000 on a troll. That is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Well, no, keep this up. Right now we're at a stalemate, but this stalemate is currently deep on enemy lines. At least if you are Isurus, you're pretty much just bottling them up, and all of the income that they're getting is going into the pockets of the Tinker. And usually that's okay, but honestly this Tinker is not really in any situation to carry the game yet. He's going to need probably 40 minutes to do that. And that's not really an exaggeration either. Zabranian needs a whole lot more. Well, we'll wait out for the next Roshan. It really feels like that's what Isurus are going to be waiting for before they pull the trigger to go high ground, or at the very least until they get another pick off. But yeah, they're comfortable, and rightfully so. The Dagon 2 is coming out from the Tinker, and although that upgrade is nice and all, they desperately need a Hex and maxed out Dagon at this point if they really want to be taking fights, and even then, I think they need a little bit more. Troll isn't getting any stronger, so I suppose they have that going for them. If you can even call that an advantage, at the very least, Pepita isn't going to be able to pick up any more major items outside of Satanic. So anytime you spend stalling, I suppose, is good time. But now you have double ulti from Magnus, and this is where things start getting a little hairy. He's only about 60 gold away from that, and Dulce is going to mop that up in just a couple of creep camps. And, well, that's not a good situation to be in. As good as his RPs have been when they are just one RP, catching multiple heroes and single-handedly winning them fights, I really am afraid to see what a double RP does. They have the Bloodstone as well up on the Storm Spirit, and this next big round of items I think should be the trigger for them to pull. Although the Rubik has absolutely nothing, been playing the position 6 for his team. He has more than the Venge for one, and his teammates make up for it. Right now they're pretty much rocking 4 cores. If you took off the top 2 net worths at Isurus, I still think that they have a decent chance when it comes to the raw gold that they have. That just kind of speaks to the position they're in this game. Storm is pretty on par with the Lycanthrope. Wraith King's pretty on par with the Tinker. And, well, at that point, it's not great. It's not great. They're holding, but to what end, Sadvoids? At least they are able to wait out this Aegis on the Storm Spirit, so maybe, just maybe, they can pull this one out of the bag. But honestly, I really don't want to know what the chances are when it comes to the raw statistics of how many teams have been able to come back in a situation like this. It's just not pretty. They're currently just being out-farmed because the amount of farm that they see is exactly how much farm that comes into that line. What's at their front door is all that they can farm. At Isurus, their line kind of extends everywhere. Literally everywhere. It's not pretty. It really isn't. Storm Spirit going to be zipping around bottom, and although we haven't been able to see DDX aggressively hunting for the Tinker and Lycanthrope, it's because they're not actually split pushing very much. They can't leave their base. They're stuck on their high ground, and although it's not a flashy way to end the game, Isurus are strangling them. And, well, it really doesn't feel like there's much that they can do about it. Tier 3 tower going to take a chunk of damage, but just look at that. They're going to solo RP up Zap Brannigan. The Fisher doesn't interrupt that. They'll be able to bring him down, and that's Tinker down for good. Beyond godlike for Pepita. 60 seconds on the sidelines for Tinker, and without him, I don't think they can do it. Tier 3 tower is going to be chopped down by Pepita as soon as he wants to. And, well, he's getting quite a few uphill misses. My goodness, that's a lot of uphill misses. But in the end, is able to mop it up. And now that Tier 3 tower is down, it's going to be all much easier for them to finish the job. Storm Spirit pushing bottom, and there's just not a good opening for Sadvoids. They lose a melee barracks, or they might. Let's see, can they actually bring down Pepita? Wraith King comes in the back line, stuns up onto Gexos, jumping for the Storm Spirit. They'll be able to control him. Now the secondary RP refreshed up. Skewer back in. They'll be able to bring down both, and, well, that's beyond godlike. Buyback in the Earthshaker. He has an Echo Slam, but he just can't find it. Pepita doing too much damage. He's not going to lose his life immediately, but on the end, there you have it. That's going to be Earthshaker's dieback. Bristleback by his back, and it looks like he's going to be his Earthshaker friend. Tinker losing his life, and that's all it took. That's going to be GG, called out by Gexos, and, well, Sadvoids, unfortunately for them, going to lose this game number 1. In a very convincing fashion, I might add, to Pepita completely untouched on the Troll Warlord. Everything seemed to go right for them. The lanes were pretty even, but all it took was one lost fight, and it was skyrocketing from there. Well played to both teams. We'll have game number 2 coming up shortly, so don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching here on HeflaTV 1.